John, if the man in the street sat at Cabinet last night, he'd probably be quite confused. What does all the figures regarding the budget, how can that be explained to the man in the street?
I think in simple terms, what we were told last night at Cabinet is that this year's budget will overspend by about £4 million. That's what they're predicting. Now, £4 million is the equivalent of 8% on council tax. And I have to say that at the start of the year, in February, when the budget was agreed, we were very clear in our conviction that this was a budget that could not be delivered. We didn't think at that time that the numbers stacked up, and I'm afraid that it would appear that we're being proved right.
So again, what could that possibly mean for council tax on April the 1st for people?
Well, interestingly, what Cabinet have decided already is that the council tax increase for next year and then subsequent years should be around 3%. Now, I actually think that's a good move. It allows people to plan for the next year and the year after. 3% is what next year's budget is predicated on. Unfortunately though, next year they need to find savings, as we know. They've already published about £6.2 million worth of savings. The other thing we learnt last night is that there's another £3.1 million of savings for next year to come on top of that. And that's a real hammer blow. I really don't know where they're going to find those savings. All I do know is that having taken what they think are the easier savings, anything else is going to be really pretty deep and damaging.
The savings that have come so far, they look, on the face of it, manageable and sensible, would you say?
I wouldn't go that far. I think there are some savings there that are, again, damaging. I think particularly if you look at what they're proposing on discretionary home-to-school transport, removing those discretionary elements. That means forcing young people of 16 to 19 who are studying in our colleges to pay for their transport, and may well mean people attending faith schools having to pay for their transport. And I'm afraid that this is all mired in a little bit of mystery, because when my colleagues raised at the scrutiny committee last week or the week before just what this would mean, they couldn't be told. I've raised it with the Director of Education, and what I get told is we're still putting together the consultation paper, so we don't quite know what the detail will be. All they are prepared to say is that they want to raise from parents in the borough £400,000 by taking that measure.
I guess some people might say you're in a very easy position of being able to simply pick holes in the budget. What would you have done?
I've said continually that the one thing that they need to do is to get hold of the bill for consultants that is running rip still throughout this organisation. Something like 15% of all employee costs now in Thurrock are on consultants. And if you take the Children, Education and Families budget, they budgeted to spend £44,000 in the entire year on interim staff, on agency staff. The scrutiny committee last week learnt that they've already spent over £800,000 on agency staff this year. It really is out of their strategic partnership, that is the contract they have with Vertex to provide a lot of the services for the council. And that contract costs somewhere in the region of £18 million a year, and on top of that the council has spent £12 million over the last 4 years on buying additional services from Vertex. It seems to me that the rest of the council has to find efficiency savings and other savings, and the contract with Vertex seems to be immune from that. That just can't be right.
I would say that slowly the council do seem to be attracting top quality permanent positions. We'd say that someone like Joe Olsen, for example, and so should you not be patient and say, right, I'm going to hopefully these more permanent positions will come in, there'll be a distilling away of consultants, and then perhaps you'll be in a position to judge Thurrock Council.
I really hope that's the case, Michael. I mean, I want to see Thurrock Council delivering the best quality services for the best price it possibly can to residents of Thurrock. I live here, my family live here, my kids go to school here. I only want to see the best for Thurrock. We're just not getting that at the moment. I hope that we are starting to see some stability emerging within the authority with more permanent staff, especially in those high positions being taken on. I have to say though, there are still a large number of interim staff at senior levels, and that just cannot continue. This year is really interesting because what the administration were wanting to do was to have a special council meeting in December where they could take a lot of these savings, get the decisions made early, meaning they could implement them ahead of time and get a head start on the budget. They haven't been able to agree a date for that meeting, so there will now not be a special meeting in December. I believe that we'll now take the decisions in February as we generally do, maybe as early as January, but somehow I doubt it. I think that the budget for next year is unravelling before the year's even started, and unravelling just as badly as this year's budget has unravelled. When it comes to decisions that we made at Council, we will be as pragmatic as we can. We will support the savings options that we think are supportable, but we will not be supporting those that we think are most damaging.